keep it short, give you guys kind of a highlight. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and dive right in. And we'll go ahead and get started. I just want to make sure Anne's on here so she can help me out.
I'm here.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Anne. So she'll be kind of responding in chat too. So if you guys got questions, throw it in the chat and she'll be responding, answering those questions as we go. Then I'll try and check that chat periodically and make sure we have that. So, okay, so just again, if anyone's got you, make sure you mute yourselves and we'll get started. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Okay, cool. So, so first of all, everyone who's got a website with us, there was a couple different designs, and all those sites we worked with your guys' team to get those kind of designs. So it has the City2shore branding, the look and feel, you know, so everything was kind of ready to go, you know, out of the gate. So those of you who have a site with us should see this kind of all set up. And there's a couple of things, and we'll talk about this when we go into editing. These are your featured properties, and these can be set up to either use your agent ID, so it shows your listings, or you could also put in your office ID, so you can show office listings too. So this is kind of where you can feature, you know, the properties that you have for sale or properties that are in your office. So, and then we have calls to actions like the free home evaluation. We're going to go in and talk about that. Top areas, these are things that can be configured. And then of course, agent testimonials. So a lot of the stuff in here you'll see when you first get the site, it's kind of pre-canned with generic things, with the idea that you guys are going to go in and modify and change those as you begin to work on your site. But the whole idea is that you don't have to do anything. All these pages, you know, are already in here. Things are all ready to go, and you can use those however you want. So one of the main concepts we try and talk about, one of the things that I always tell people to do, when you first get your site launched, it's a great opportunity to reach out to your sphere and send them an email, okay? It gives you a reason to contact them. Hey, I've got a brand new site. I want you to go check it out. Here are a couple of features of the site that you can take advantage of. A, search for all real estate listings in our MLS. Now, our data is updated. Depending on your MLS, it's about every 15 minutes. Some areas it's faster, some areas it's slower, but in general, it's about 15 minutes. So get all up-to-date real estate information. Favorite and save listings that you're interested in. Get a home evaluation report. Find out how much your home is really worth, right? These are all calls to action that you can include in that email, and just blast it out to your sphere as an introduction to your new website. And that's a great way to initially get some traffic, just to get people coming to the site, registering, saving properties, do home evaluations. And I would link out to each one of those sections. And I'm going to go through and talk about how you can do each one of those. So the main component here is the search, right? And the search has been designed to really make it easy for your customers to find, you know, the properties that they're looking for. They can come over here. It keeps track of their recent searches. They can search by MLS ID, by cities, zip codes, school districts, you know, all those sorts of things. So as they start typing in here, you can see all the different options for what it gives them. So I Coldwater, I get Coldwater, Michigan, I get Coldwater neighborhood, Coldwater school district. So they can choose, you know, begin to type those type of things in and search for everything they want. Now, the way this is set up is you'll notice there's little things like new, which indicates which homes are new within the market within the last 7 days, and then open houses. So homes that actually have open houses. So one of the strategies I talk about with, you know, what are ways I can drive some traffic to my website? Little things like, you could go in here and filter the entire MLS by show me only properties that have open houses, okay? Or show me properties with carports or whatever it is. If you go to the top of your URL and you put in /share, and you're gonna hear me say that a lot, /share. There's ways to generate, and you're gonna refresh the page, and it's gonna give you the option here for creating what we call a forced registration page. Now, what I'm going to do, for instance, is let's say it's a Friday. I want to post all the open houses in my market to Facebook, right? So I've gone and I filtered my search by open houses. So these are all open houses that are upcoming. And I'm going to post this to Facebook. And I want to put the headline is all open houses, you know, this week, right? So that's going to be my headline. I could put in a tag here, and what that tag does, anyone who registers off this link is going to get that tag in the CRM. And I'll show you that here as we go through the presentation. So I'm going to, let me go grab that previous. If I hit copy link, I got to log in with a browser that I'm not already logged into. It's going to generate this forced registration page. Okay. So basically what this is all open houses this week, and it's going to tell me if they register, it's going to allow them to then see all those properties, right? So this is what I'm going to take this link, and this is what I'm going to go post to Facebook. Okay. And there's different types of registration here, combined registrations, different things like that. And so that's one way I can do that. And you can do this with any types of properties. So, you know, anything, just picking a random city here. I could go into my advanced search criteria, for instance, and say, I only want to do condos and townhomes, or I want to sort by popular features and say, I want to do a post that says, hey, see all new construction or all waterfront homes, right? And I should post those to Facebook maybe twice a week, pick a different theme, and then post that to your Facebook page with that forced registration. Because a couple things happen when someone registers with that forced registration page. It is automatically going to add them to the CRM, and it's automatically going to set them up on a listing alert for any properties that match that search criteria. So let's say I set up a forced registration page for waterfront homes in a particular city, okay? When someone registers on that forced registration page, they're automatically get set up on a listing alert. So anytime anything new comes on the market that matches that criteria, they're automatically going to get a notification emailed to them with that information, okay? So that's a great way to just start kind of posting on the social media, the different categories, open homes, waterfront, you know, whatever it is, that you could then send out to them to be able to do that. So that's a little bit about the search page. Remember, /share is how you get to that forced registration page. You don't have to log in anything. Just go right from you know, the website. So when I have a property, so let's say I'm going to go into the property details page. Now, the property details page is the most viewed you know, pages on our system. And we've got a lot of different calls to action here to try and get people to register. Anytime they want to favorite a property or they want to start an offer, any of these calls to action are going to ask them to register. Now, I'm already registered on the website. So you can see here, it pre-fills my information on all the forms so that the user doesn't have to. It pre-fills in the price already on here. So this start offer is just a way to kind of engage them in the process of you know, moving out forward with that sell. There's a couple of calls to action here. One of the things that is brand new that you guys will see is our buy and sell safely virtual open house options. And this takes them to a page that, and this is pre-built on everybody's site. It's just your website name /safety, and it's pre-built on here, and it just walks through, you know, buying virtually, selling homes program. And you could go into the website builder and change this if you don't like this content. But we put this out there because there was a lot of a need for like, hey, what are you guys doing to make it so I can buy and sell homes safely or do open houses safely, you know, that sort of thing. So we pre-built this page for you guys to just kind of showcase, hey, there's ways that we can do virtual strategies for selling homes. And so that page is on there, and you'll see it on every property page. There's a call to action on that you can go see. So that just helps your user see like, okay, here's what you're doing for me. Then you have calls to action like schedule showing. So your user can come in here and say, hey, I want to schedule a showing. And they have two options. They can choose to schedule a virtual showing or an in-person tour, right? So these are new options that we have. So if they want to do a virtual showing, they've come in here, they put in their information. I'd like to see it in the afternoon. They add comments, and then that allows you to send them back information and say, okay, we're going to do a Zoom call, or we're going to do a virtual walkthrough. However it is you are kind of handling those virtual showings, you're able to do that. Or obviously an in-person showing, which is the same information, just tells them that, hey, I want to go look at this property at this time, this date. Of course, you have all the property photos, most important thing. A couple of things I want to make you aware of right down here is the ability for you to send emails, send this listing to somebody else, post it to Pinterest, post it to Facebook, Twitter, and then of course Messenger. So kind of an interesting thing, like if I wanted to post this listing really quickly to Facebook, all I got to do is hit that Facebook button, and it's going to automatically pull in all the property information, connect me to my story, and allow me to post that directly onto Facebook. So it's a really quick, easy way to just, hey, I just want to post this. One of the things that we're finding really interesting is this Messenger option. And what this does is it actually opens up your Facebook Messenger and allows you to send this to somebody that you're a friend with in Facebook, right? Or it doesn't even have to be a friend. If you know their name or their information on Facebook, I can find that person and just say, hey, here's a great house I thought you'd like to see. What we're finding is this is an interesting prospecting way. So if you've got a lead that, they're not answering your emails, they're not responding to your text messages, but you found them on Facebook, right? This is a great way to send them listings and just say, hey, I know that you're on my site last week. Thought you might be interested in this home, just came on the market. Boom, post it to Messenger. People read their Facebook messages, more so than text messages, more so than emails. So it's a great strategy for getting a hold of a contact that you might have had a hard time kind of getting, connected with. So there's that strategy. And then of course you've got all your information here. You've got your location, so you can see the map, calls to action to questions. We also have this comparables page here, and I'm going to go into that a little bit more here in a minute when we talk about the home valuation page. But this allows them to see how this home compares to other properties nearby. And now I'm logged in, so it's going to let me see this. But if I wasn't logged in, they'd have to log in to be able to see that information. And then little things like walk score. Now, one of the important things about the property page, again, we're going to talk about /share. So if I go to the URL and I put in /share, it's going to allow me to create a forced registration page. So I'm going to come in here and say, hey, I'm going to post this to Facebook. And I have a couple different registration options here. Like if I wanted to do a virtual showing of this property, for instance, to post to Facebook, I could do that. I could do full registration. I could do light registration. And the only difference in those is the type and information we ask for. So I could say, new home, in Rockford. Again, I can set tags. Now I have the option to choose whether or not the street address shows or doesn't show when I generate this preview link. And again, I'm logged in, so I'm not going to be able to see it. So I'm going to go to another browser here so you can see what this looks like to the consumer. So this is the landing page that this automatically creates, right? Like I'm always encouraging agents like, hey, if you're going to send something to Facebook, do it on a forced registration page so that I'm getting that person to register. Because again, once they register, the lead automatically gets put in the CRM and it automatically creates a listing alert based on the city and within 20% of the price range of that subject property, right? So it's automatically going to do some of that stuff. If I was then going to hop over here to Facebook, I could just go to my feed here, post in that URL, and it's going to grab all the information I need and allow me to post that listing onto Facebook. So a couple of different things you can do there. One of the other things that that we use quite a bit. And this is one of those things that some people are saying, hey, like I can't do open houses in my area right now. But I still wanted to show this to you guys. If I put in, let me refresh this page here. So if I put in /open house at the end of my URL, oh wait, I've already got this set up at a different URL. Let me refresh that and get it back to my original. It was on I had it on the /share. So I'm gonna put in the /open house. And again, it's gonna create an open house form. So a great example of this is I'm sitting in my property that I'm gonna do an open house on today. Like on my iPad, I go to my website, I go to my property, I put in /open house. And I say, hey, I'm going to do light registration. I also have a virtual open house registration, and I'll show you that here in a second. If I do light registration, it's going to start today at 10 a.m. and it's going to end at 12 p.m. I'm going to hit start open house. Now this is going to generate a registration form, and I can do this on my phone. I can do this on my tablet. It doesn't really matter. When someone walks into the open house, I'm going to say, hey, thanks for coming in today. I just need you to sign in, and I'll be happy to walk you through the house. And they're going to put in their name, email, phone number. Now, the other option is if I do a full registration, it's going to give them, are you already working with an agent? How soon are you looking to buy? It gives them some more options. So you can kind of pick and choose which one of those you like. So they're going to go ahead and register. And a couple of things that happen when they register. So again, they automatically get added to the CRM. They automatically get set up on a listing alert for properties that are similar to the property they're looking at. And they automatically get a follow-up email from you that says, hey, thanks for coming to my open house. Here's a link back to the property on my website. Let me know if you have any questions, right? So the system automatically handles up the creating the listing alert, the post follow-up, and adding the lead to the CRM. So a couple of things that people really like. After people have registered, when they register, it's just going to refresh this. And when they're done, you're just going to hit end open house. And it's going to tell you exactly how many attendees you had. I can say, hey, email me a list of these attendees. But it's also going to show me that in the CRM, I can find these leads by searching by the tag of open house and the property address. So for instance, if I'm going to go do a post follow-up, so let's say this property goes under contract within like the first couple of days. I'm going to go into my CRM. I'm going to filter by everyone who came to that open house by using the property address, this right here, this 7970 Gator Trail. And then I'm going to do an email blast out to all of those people and say, hey, I just want to let you know that this property went under contract. Sorry to tell you that, but let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. Okay. And so that's one simple way to handle open houses. Now, one of the things you can do is virtual open houses. So again, I'm going to go to my property. I'm going to say /open house. And I'm going to go and I'm going to say, this one I'm going to do a virtual open house registration. And you'll see one thing that's different here is it's going to ask for instructions. So I'm going to say, hey, maybe I'm going to do this virtual open house today at 3 p.m. And I'm going to do it till 4 p.m. And I'm going to put in instructions here that say, join my Zoom call. And I'm going to put in the Zoom URL that I'm going to be using, or the GoToMeeting, or whatever it is. Or I'm going to do live on Facebook. So I might put, hey, join me on Facebook Live. Here's my Facebook link. And I'm going to be doing this from 3 to 4. So I'm going to go ahead and create that link. And when I go ahead and preview it, it looks just like the other one. The main difference is when somebody fills out this information, it's going to give them the instructions that I put in. So this is a great way to market a virtual open house prior to the open house. So I might do this a day or two in advance and put in the instructions so that, when I run that virtual open house, they can sign up and maybe I'll have 5 or 6 people on my Zoom call and I can walk them through this, right? or I could use this as a great way to just send this off to an individual person and say, hey, go here and register, and then we'll set up a time to do a virtual open house. So the instructions are kind of arbitrary. It can be whatever it is you want, but you don't have to. Let's do a Zoom call. I've seen agents doing this where they do this, they send it out, people can register, and then the instructions basically say, I'll contact you to set up a time, and then the agent's going over to the house and actually walking through, using, iPhone, FaceTime or things like that. So kind of some different ideas of how people tend to do that. So really quickly, I'm just going to check, because I know I've been going through a lot here. Do we have any chat questions that people need to be answered here? So okay, I'm not seeing anything particularly that we need to go over here. So /share/open house, two ways that you guys can kind of use those on the search page and the property details pages. One of the things that I'm going to have to reshare my screen here. One of the things that's also really good to know about your site is that I'm going to grab an MLS ID here. If you want to generate like a quick link, so maybe for a sign writer or something else, if you go to the top of your URL and put in /MLS/ and put in the MLS ID, it will generate a quick link to that property. So let me show that again. If I go to the top of my website and I put in /MLS, another slash, and put in the ID, the MLS ID of that property. Now this is a short URL that I could use maybe on my sign writers, my postcard mailers, it's just shorter than the whole URL is pretty long. Even if I want to post this to Facebook, I could use the short URL, and it just makes it a little bit more convenient. So that's going to be a quick link off to that. Okay, so let me go into home valuations. So one of the best sources of seller leads that we find is marketing to a valuation page. Now, every one of your sites automatically has this included. So if you go to your website name /home value, it's automatically going to have this page set up. And in the editor, you can change the way that this page looks. You can change this background. You can have a video background. You can change this text. So it might say, how much is your Michigan home worth or your Florida home worth? So you can modify these to be whatever you want. Like you might say, hey, I don't like this modern look. Maybe I want to, I'm in Florida and I want to show a beach house, or whatever it is, right? Something a little more flashy. You can change all of these images and everything in the background. But all a person is going to do, let me go grab a property here. I'm getting a little tab happy. Close out some of these. Okay, so I'm going to go grab, for instance, a property address. And when they come in here, they're going to put in that address. They're going to select it. They're going to hit find out, and they're just going to ask them to put in their information. So it's automatically going to, if it has the information, it's automatically going to pull in the square footage, beds, bath. If we can't get that data, then they have to fill it in. And then they're going to hit search home value. What you're going to get is a page that looks like this. Now, there's actually a couple of options when you do a home valuation page. You can determine whether they actually see the entire report, whether they see a partial report, or whether they get no report. Because some agents say, hey, I don't want them to have an automated report. I'd rather just call them and do a CMA with them. Great. Like on that home valuation page, there's a preference you can set that says which type of report you'd like them to have. Now, this is the full report. I find that giving the full report tends to be the best option. People nowadays, when they put in their information, they feel a little hoodwinked when they don't get the information. So giving them all this data is super helpful, because this gives you an opportunity to call them up, because you're going to get an email that says, Bob Smith did a home evaluation on this property address with a link out to the report so you can see what they're looking at. And it gives you an opportunity to call them and say, hey, what did you think about that price? Does that seem right? And, they might be like, well, no, it seems really low. And you're like, really, why is it low? Well, I replaced all the faucets in my house with gold lions. So my house is worth more money, right? Whatever it is, whatever they think makes their house worth more. But this gives them an idea of the estimated value. We pulled that from 3 different sources. We give them a high to low estimate. We have local MLS data, we have Zillow data, we have Home Junction data. We kind of combine those 3 together to get them an estimate. I would sell my home today if I could get, and this allows them to actually go in here and get started, and it fills this out for them. So this is just a call to action, like, hey, if I thought I could get what you're telling me it's worth today, would I sell it, right? And then they can come down here and they can see these are recently sold homes. So right now we're going off of something within 500 square feet of the subject property, sold within the last 6 months, distance of 1.5 miles. And you can change all of this down to be, 1 mile versus 1.5 miles. But this allows them to see how these properties compare to the subject property. So this was sold a month ago, is 1.3 miles away. They may look at this house and say, hey, you know what, this is nothing like my house. I'm going to go ahead and remove that. It's going to remove it from the comparable. So it kind of allows them to kind of come in here and play with this. They can see what's pending, what's currently active, and it just really helps them get an idea of where does their property stand compared to other properties within the area. And it's kind of nice because it allows them to kind of play around with it, see these listings, remove ones that they feel aren't like their property, and anyway, be able to kind of generate those comparables. So that's a really great way. Advertising those, publishing like what's your home worth with a link to that page on your site is a really effective a way to either run an ad. A lot of agents will post that to Facebook and then do a boost. So if you haven't done a Facebook boost, what Boost does, when you post something to Facebook, it allows you to see kind of people within your immediate sphere, right? But then taking and boosting that allows you to reach people outside of your normal audience, right? And you can do that for $10, $20, $30, however much you want to spend on that boost. But I always recommend spend a little bit of money on that boost because it's going to help you kind of go over the top with that. So there's just a couple of things: home valuation, the /share, property pages, site pages, and then of course you've got community pages, all of the different things that are already built, into your site that are kind of here for SEO purposes. That you can either take advantage or not take advantages. That's really kind of up to you. But we have these kind of marketing pages that are kind of pre-built in here with school information and demographic information. And the cool thing about this is these pages are they're automatically generated based on the MLS data that we have in the city. So you just see it just kind of goes on and on and on and on. And obviously a user's not going to come in here and be like, I got to find Wayne, right? But they might. But a lot of this is more geared towards SEO and helping you guys have great SEO pages that Google can index with content and data and all that kind of stuff pulled together. So okay, so we're gonna pop in and we're gonna talk a little bit about editing. And I'm gonna really high level on this, really high level. On your website, if you go down to the bottom of your site, there's going to be an admin login at the very bottom of the site. And that's what you're going to use to log in. When you log into the site, you're going to see something like this. It's going to have your website name here. And you're just going to hit this edit button. Now within here, there's blogging, there's listing management. And I'm going to talk about listings here in just a minute. Rosters, if you're an office, you'll have a roster option. If you're an individual agent, you won't see that. But if I hit edit, it's going to take me to my page editor. So this is all the pages that are on my website. And really easy, like I can move these around. I can drag and drop them if I want to reorder them. I can change the names. I can see which ones are published, which ones are not published. Over here on the far right, I have the option to edit, update a page name, duplicate. I have page settings, whether it shows in the navigation or doesn't show in the navigation, Page settings is nice because this is where you're going to set SEO stuff for like your page titles and your meta descriptions. If I want to have a preview for that particular page, so a preview that if I text it to somebody or post it to social media, it has a pre-built look for what I want to do. Home valuation is a great one for this, where I might want to have a little graphic that I've created that says, find out what your home's worth. I can upload these preview images, and that's what Facebook is going to use for my image when I post to social media or when I text to somebody. But I'm going to go ahead into editing, and I just want to, I'm going real high level on this. We'll probably do another training where we go into a lot more detail on how to edit, but I just want to show you guys a few little things because everything on this site is editable. And as I mentioned, you're getting a site that's kind of pre-built out of the gate with all the content that's there, but you can go in and change all of it. You can add more pages, you can add more blocks. Everything is in here is a block-based system. So if I click over here on the left-hand side, these are all the different blocks that are available for you to use, you know, on the website. If I want to edit something, for instance, like this text, all I've got to do is select on content mode and select on the text, and it pulls up an editor. So I can, you know, I can change this to whatever I want it to be, and it's going to go ahead and update. Okay. If I want to change an image, I'm going to select on that image. It's going to pull up a library, and it's going to allow me to change the image or upload an image, or there's other images that are, you know, in a pre-built library. So I can choose that, and it's going to change that image. A great example of this is, let's say I want to add a video. I'm going to go down here to video, and let's say I have a property I want to feature here right on my home page. I'm going to drop that video block on there. And if I jump over to YouTube, I'm going to grab just this little ID that's right here. So there's a little equal sign, and then there's a little ID. And I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to select on the video. I'm going to put that YouTube ID in there, and I hit save. And now I've got that video on my site. So I could then come in here, say, you know, whatever, new home, you know, address, you know, property, whatever I want to put there. And then I could actually link out to that property page. So that's just a really high level overview of kind of how some of that editing works and how you could get in and kind of change things and move things around. You know, as I mentioned before, we talked about the home valuation page, right? So if I go down here at the bottom, here's my home valuation page. If I go in and edit this, oh, I think I grabbed the wrong page. I could change the, you know, the sort of stuff about it. Here we go. Here's the right page. Sometimes it takes it just a minute here to kind of load all the preferences and everything that it needs so I can edit this. So this is my standard one right here. If I just select on it, you know, I could say things like, maybe I don't want this image. I'd rather have a video behind it. And there's a video that's already kind of pre-built into the system, but you could change it and put your own there, or say, hey, you know, I don't like that. I'd rather have a carousel, which is images that kind of rotate through. And if I wanted to change those images in the order that they're in, I have all these options here for changing stuff. So anyway, I don't want to go into a lot of weeds on this because some of you are probably like your eyes are already glazing over going, I'm never going to do this. I don't want to know about it. But for those of you who do want to change it, want to get in there, just go in and change it. And, you know, you can always, if you want to play with it, just come in here and say, hey, I'm going to duplicate this page and give it a new name, and play with it. And if it doesn't work out, you just delete the page, right? So it's meant to be really simple. The last thing I want to cover, I know we're kind of running out of time, I need to get into the CRM, is the way that listing management works here. So there's a couple of options here. With all of your listings, so if you come into the builder and you go up to listings up here at the top, and first of all, it should pull in your listings if you've added your MLS to the system. If you haven't, you need to make sure you've put in your your MLS ID, select the state, the MLS that you're part of, and put in like your agent ID or your office ID if you're in office. And it's going to automatically pull all of your listings here. Now, these are all your current listings that are currently in the MLS. Now, what you can do with this is you can enhance a listing. So enhancing a listing is not replacing that data from on the MLS, but it's allowing you on your personal website to change the photos, the order of the photos. Like if your MLS compresses the photos a lot and maybe you want to upload better quality ones, you can manage that here and that'll change on your site. It'll also change on any site within your brokerage as well. You can also embed a Matterport tour or a or a virtual tour link here if you want to change the virtual tour that automatically comes from the MLS. Because a lot of times the MLS will give you a virtual tour link that is non-branded, but maybe you want to change that to a branded one. I could replace it off of my website with my branded tour. So that's how you'd enhance a listing. Trying to see if I have one on here that automatically has a, yeah, okay. So this is an example of our standard listing, but I've added my Matterport tour to the listing. So now I've got the virtual tour for the Matterport built right into the listing. So when someone searches for that property and they come here, it's gonna have this data already in here. So great example of that. When I change the tour link, there's usually a tour button that sits up here. So that's kind of an example of how that works. Now, exclusive listings. So exclusive listings are coming soon listings. They're listings that are not in the MLS, for instance. Now I can copy an MLS listing over to be an exclusive listing, or I can manually add a listing in here. Or I can come in here and say, let's say for instance, I want to add a page that has my buyer side listings, right? Where the listing that there's buyer on. I can go in here and add them by number. And then there's a block in the builder that allows me to put them on here. But the cool thing about these listings is it allows me to create a single property site. So let's say for instance, this property here, I can come in here and choose a template. So let's say I want to use template 3 and I want to customize this. So it's going to allow me to come down here and say, okay, that main photo, I want to use this image. The second photo, I want to change that to be, whatever image I want to use. And then main gallery, I can select which images I want to be part of the main gallery. And I hit done. And when I go to view this, it's going to create basically a single property page that's unique. And so this is a really great way to like showcase your properties for sale, especially if you've got a really nice property. And let's say I decide, hey, I don't like template 3. I want to try template 2. I can save that. I'm not going to do any customization on it, but I just want to go see what it looks like. It's going to takes a second. It's going to generate that new look. Oh, it's supposed to. It's thinking about it. But there's basically right now there's 3 options. So here's what that second option would look like. Slightly different look with my gallery here. All the same schedule showing, calls to action. So if I want to take one of my properties and move it over, I could then add these templates. But you can only do that from within exclusive listings. So it's a little bit confusing, but if you just remember, like MLS listings are my MLS properties. Exclusive are ones I want to edit or modify or create a single property page for. And you'll also notice when I come in here on an MLS listing, there's a little button here that says make exclusive, and it'll automatically copy that listing over there. So it's a little bit different. It's called exclusive because you could add like builder listings in there, listings that are not on the MLS, past history that's not showing up, buyer side transactions. So there's just a lot of options there of things that you can do with that. So that's real high level website. I'm going to jump into the website builder sorry, not the website builder, but we're going to jump right into the CRM real quick. So when you log in, you're going to see, CRM, edit website, area pulse. We'll talk about area pulse here in a second. But this is the CRM overview. It's going to have all my contacts that have come in here. I can see when the contact came in, what their phone number is. I can see all the properties that they've been looking at. So I can see these are all the properties that they viewed. I can see if they've favorited properties, which properties they favorited. If they're set up on a listing alert, I can see how many listing alerts they're getting. I can see my listings in here and I can manage those listings. I could go to view all contacts and I can search by name, by tag, so if our email address, whatever I've got, for finding the people that I want to get, into. So I can go over here, for instance, to my buddy, James Dean, and you can color coordinate how you want to manage your contacts. But when I go in here, I can see everything that they've done. I can see the page that they signed up on. I can see when they looked at a property. I can send them an email. I can create a note. I can log a call. I can go set up listing alerts for them. And I'm always telling people, like, one of the best ways that you can drive traffic to your site is go to every single person that you've worked with in the last year, create them on a listing alert that goes to your website. So many agents do this through the MLS, and it just doesn't drive any value to your website, right? And part of the value here is if I can create a listing alert for them and drive them to my website, I can then track what they're looking and doing. Because a lot of times you'll have a client who says, oh, I've got to live in, Draper. So you set up a listing alert for Draper, but then what happens is when you go down and look at their website activity, I can see that they're looking in Sandy or they're looking wherever, right? So I can see the different areas that they've been looking in, which allows me to then go in here and modify that alert to expand it to those cities that they've started, looking in. So it's really all about just making sure that you understand what they're doing. And then you can do things like apply pre-built task lists. So if this is a new buyer, I'm going to apply my new buyer lead task list, and it's going to tell me, here's all the things that I need to do, with this particular buyer, right? Send out my welcome email, do a follow-up text, call follow-up, set up a listing alert. And as you do these things, you can just come through here and check them off. And this little taskbar will always tell you all the things that you need to do or you haven't done. And you can always hide that too. And then you can upload documents. So I can store, my contracts, files, anything for that particular user, and I can share it with them. Again, really high level today, so I'm not going to go into all the details, but you can sync this with your Gmail account. There's task management, there's calendars, you can manage your properties, you can upload your documents. There's an agent directory here of all the agents in your office so that you can, if you don't know someone's phone number, you can look it up. All that information is kept inside of here. So the last thing I want to cover is market reports. And again, market reports is a great way to generate leads and send them things that they're going to get on a regular basis. So we call it Area Pulse. Everyone has access to it. You can access it through the contact, or when you first log in, you can access it through that way. There's a button to log in, and I'll show you that. But if you go to add report, it's going to pull up the Area Pulse system that allows you to come in and say, hey, I want to create a report for, I could do this by city. So this is going to bring an entire city in. You can draw a specific area that you want them to be in. I can choose only send, residential. I can choose if they want, they only want homes above a certain price range. And I can create this report. And what this is going to do is generate a market report that you can set up. So I can see that this is what the report's going to look like. It's going to have my name and information on here. It's going to have, how many active listings are on the market, how many are new, how many have sold within the last 30 days, what the average list price has been over the last 5 months, the average price of what the homes that are new on the market, recent sales, days on market charts, listing inventory, and then of course a map, of all the listings. And then of course it's going to show me these are the new listings. These are the recently sold listings, and then pending and active if they're on there as well. So this is something I could then save, and I can choose, I'm going to call it, whatever, Lehigh 50K plus, and save it. The most effective way to do a marketing report, though, is if I know the person's address, I'm going to do it based on their address. So that it's going to be their address and within like a mile radius, filtered by residential. And they're going to get this from you every single month. And what we find is this is great. Anyone who's talked about selling in the last little while, you talk to someone, they're like, hey, yeah, we're probably going to sell maybe this year, or sometime in the next 2 years. Great. Let me just put you on a market report. You're going to get it from me once a month. It's going to give you an idea what's going on around your home. Oh, perfect. Right. Or I might want to move to a particular town or city, and I can say, well, look, let me create you a market report for that. Another way that we found that this is really effective is actually with sellers. So if I take a seller contract, let's say the seller wants to price the home 20, 30 grand above what you feel it should be priced at, right? But they're just not going to budge. Okay, look, I'm going to put you on a market report and I'm going to send it to you every single week. So I can set the frequency to weekly. What's going to happen is they're going to get a market report for around their home every single week. So every single week, they're going to see how many new homes came on the market, how many are active, right? And it allows you to go back to them and say, hey, you notice on those market reports I've been sending you, did you notice that you were the highest priced house on that report every single week? I think we have an issue here. We're not getting traction. Why don't we move this down 20K, 30K, and see if we can get some, some eyes. So it kind of allows you guys to kind of negotiate and work with it that way. So, okay, we're out of time. Again, super high level, super fast. We'll probably need to do another one of these trainings to go into some more detail, but what particular questions, what didn't I cover that you guys want to know more about? Totally stunned, or everyone's asleep, one or the other. So if anyone has a question, they want to unmute themselves, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, and we can go through it. If not, we'll
I just had a question. Is there any list of how many options you have for like a /? I know you have share, open house. Is there maybe a handful of others?
Yeah.
Not?
So the /share is the big one.
Mm-hmm.
The /open house on listings, and then you have /home value, which is where your home value report's located. You have /safety, which is where that safety page is located.
Okay.
And then you have the /MLS number, which creates the short code for that. So those are good things to write down, because if you don't know them, you just don't know they're there. But they're great little short codes for accessing things. So good question.
The market value one I just posted, so we'll see what happens. I've never seen that. That's a nice one.
Yeah. We find it's really a great way to generate leads, is the what's your home worth today. We've got a lot of people who are posting stuff like, has COVID-19 affected your home's value? Find out, right? Great calls to action. I'm always really surprised at the creativity of what people come up with. Usually things that I've never thought of, agents tend to come up with. So it's always fun to see what people do. Okay. If we don't have any other questions, we've recorded this. So I'm going to be sending this out to Shelly, and she'll get this out to you guys. So if you guys want to rewatch it, you can. And then if you guys have specific requests of trainings you guys would really like to have, let her know, and we can set up a time to do, if we want to do website editing and go in that more, or CRM more in depth, we could definitely do that with you guys. So just let her know the areas that you guys want more information on, and we'll go ahead and set that up and do a couple more of these for you guys. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate everyone's time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very helpful.
All right. Everybody take care.
Thanks.